Okay, so I wanted to talk about an experience I had today and how it relates to that thing that I mentioned that seemingly runs through reality and it can fool with circumstances and it can maybe throw monkey wrenches into your plans um, and how to to stave off that negativity and how to you know um, see the silver linings in things. Anyway, so I was set to fly it direct flight 2,000 miles, and so I get to the airport, and the flight is already delayed by about half an hour because they announced that the plane isn't at the gate yet. It had undergone maintenance at the previous place where it was, and so it was going to fly in. So we boarded the plane without any incident, but we were set to leave about half an hour behind schedule. And so we boarded, no trouble. We pushed back, and I was looking at the safety information card in the seat back pocket in front of me, and it was a model A321, but it had a designation EOW, and I was like, geez, that spells "whoa" backwards, right? Like "whoa, be the person who flies on this plane," right? But I didn't think twice about it. But it started to rain a little bit as we're pushing back and taxiing, and we ended up taking off without any incident. And as we're climbing to our altitude, cruising altitude, a big flash, um, bang, and plane shook a little bit. I felt like from where I was, and everyone was kind of in shock and like, and did we get hit by lightning? And so there wasn't any kind of announcement made over the PA. We just kept going along, and maybe 20 minutes after the incident, maybe almost half an hour, pilot comes on the PA and says that we we indeed were struck by lightning, and they didn't have their weather sensing um, equipment operational. So we ended up turning around, going back to the airport. So um, so then we land, um, we get to a gate, and then we deplane, and we we go to another gate, which is not too far away, and then so they make the announcement again that like, hey, we have a replacement plane set to go, um, but the crew needs to. I guess there's protocols in place about the crew. The flight attendants were pretty stressed, so I think there was certain things that they had to pass in order to continue onto the next flight, which they all didn't go carry through to the next flight. So there was an emergency flight crew that was at the airport, and they showed up for the flight. But the pilots, we needed to wait for. There was two pilots that were flying in about half an hour after everyone deplaned and they made the announcement. So we waited for them. They ended up showing up, and so finally everybody we got back on the plane, and so this pilot he makes an announcement that basically that because of the rough weather they're gonna fly lower, therefore they need more fuel. So they get the fuel trucks, and he said something to the effect of they need 1,400 more pounds of fuel. Now I don't know where that's gonna go in the wings. What I don't know where that can possibly be stored. But anyway, so they had to pump the fuel, and they had to move around luggage. Um, I guess for ballast, balancing the plane or whatnot. So that took a really long time. And so finally we pushed back and we start taxiing, but it's like we're just circling around the airport for a while. And then finally, we stop out somewhere on the tarmac, and the pilot makes the announcement that um, they're going to overstay their time by a few minutes if they leave. So I guess that's against the regulations. So we had to go back to the gate again, and the pilots had to come off and whatnot. So when they made the announcement, we're sitting on the tarmac for another about 45 minutes. So by the time we get back to the gate and everyone deplanes, pretty much all the restaurants are closed in the airport. So nothing to eat, except for at the newsstand, like sandwiches and potato chips, but no hot food. And so at first they say, we'll get out at X time, and well, our original flight time was supposed to be like 4:30 p.m. And so anyway, it was supposed to be. They were saying like maybe 12:45 a.m. we could get out, and so we're waiting, and after a while they come back on and they just say, look, this plane that you were on, we can still use it. You can fly out at like a little after 5 a.m. So some people left the airport, find other ways, and so we waited, and we finally got on the plane, and we finally got to the destination. But it was like 2,000-mile flight, and it was 19 hours. It was crazy. Like if you had one of those Cannonball Run things, you could darn near drive almost fast. I mean, I know it's an exaggeration, but still, 2,000 miles in 19 hours, and the whole time, we deplaned twice, and there's people that are, going to the airline counter and flipping out, and meanwhile, also before we got out, it's funny because we're in the airport and we're kind of like stuck there overnight, and they offered a free hotel, a voucher, and food voucher, but the food voucher was only good for the plane, and didn't work in the airport. And the hotel voucher, like by the time, if you were to have gone to the hotel, checked in everything, and you'd have to a couple hours, and then you'd have to come back to the airport because you'd have to come back through security again. So you know that was a waste. And so I just waited at the airport, and I just bought a sandwich and sucked it up, and people were lying on the ground sleeping, and I was trying to stay awake. And I went to go use the restroom on one end of the the terminal, and they had it closed they were cleaning it. So I turned back around and went all the way back to past the gate. They were cleaning that man's room too. So I had to keep going all the way down to the next section of gates just to find an open restroom. And it's like all these things kept piling and piling and piling. All the circumstances that could happen, happened. Of course, things could have gone way worse. Of course, the plane didn't crash or anything. No one got hurt. No one had any kind of like heart attacks or anything like that. So I mean, that in that case, it was the best you could ask for getting struck by lightning. But people were very upset. I mean, people, they have connecting flights. They just want to go home, and like it's funny because it's not like the airline cut it off and said, look, we're canceling this flight. You can rebook it. You can fly out tomorrow, or whatever the case may be. It just kept holding us on, where it's like, okay, are we going to get out? Are we not going to get out? We're sitting on a tarmac a couple times, and it just felt like like I said before, it's like something, you know, beyond human control that's, you know, influencing circumstances. Um, and I guess I try to look at it and think, um, you know, it's an experience, right? I mean, yeah, maybe it wouldn't be as easy to say if I got hurt, injured, something like that. Um, but no injuries, and you know, um, it wasn't really even that stressful for me. I mean, I guess at some point I resigned myself to the fact that, hey, you know what? If we don't get out and I'm just canceling this trip, then so be it. Um, there's a saying about, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? And so I guess that's the way I look at it. Made the plans, and if it wasn't gonna work out, then it wasn't gonna work out. But it was an interesting situation to go through. I mean, I did get tired after a while just of being up so long. Um, I did end up sleeping on the actual flight. Um, but it's good to kind of step back, and look at the situation and go, you know what? It's okay, Um, whatever happens is going to happen, and you can only control how you see it, how you feel about it. You can't control the other people, you can't control the circumstances, and just enjoy the experience. I mean, I'll remember this day more than I'll remember just some other day that I took a flight where nothing happened. I got out on time, made it to the thing, checked all the boxes, um, and now I have this thing where I can say, struck by lightning, check, right? Um, so all in all, I mean, I think it's a very net positive, because what an experience. I ended up getting to where I was gonna go. Took a little while longer. Um, I ended up talking to some really nice people that I would have just never have talked to, um, had had it not happened. So I guess that's my whole thing. In the journey of life that you take, just enjoy the things that happen. I mean, the situations that come up. Good, bad, and different. These are the things that, it's just the experiences that make up your life. And sometimes maybe there might be things that also too that you can take from it. Maybe that you can learn for yourself. Maybe something where maybe exercise more patience, or maybe try to tell yourself not to judge other people, in a situation. Have, you know, just have that flexibility, if you can learn something from it, it's like I said, I feel like it's a net positive. I mean, even throughout whatever inconvenience it was, you know, that experience and seeing myself just, you know, having a nonchalance about it, it it made me feel good in the end of the day, where it's like, hey, you know what? All of this thing is going down, but you're just cool, calm, collected, and just take it as it comes, and just be there to, if other people want to sound off, just be there for them, and if you can be a calming force, you can help the whole situation around you. I think the energy will be better for all the people around you too, so like I said, just be aware that there's something that tends to work against us, through this journey of life, and don't give in to it, don't feed it that negativity, um, and enjoy the things that happen. Take what you can from them, learn if you can, and just hold on to that spiritual part of yourself that's not here. And anyway, That's about all I want to say. It's a silly story, and I will talk later. Thanks.